Today we're going to be talking about part of a whole and dealing with percents. The objective today, I will demonstrate my mathematical ability to understand the percent as a part of a whole through class discussion. Okay, this is what we're going to be using today in this lesson. Okay, is this proportion where I have my part over my whole, and that's going to equal my percent divided by 100. This is going to be known as what we call the percent proportion. Okay, and make sure that this gets down in your notes. Okay, so part of that percent proportion was dealing with what the whole of something is, because we have the part divided by the whole. Well, in this exercise, let's look at what the whole is. So if I have 15 is what percent of 90, okay, the of 90 here is my whole. That would make the 15 my part, and that would make my unknown then be the percent. Okay, let's look at the next one. It says 90% of a number is 180. So of is my whole. Okay, so I don't know what that is. My part here is going to be is 180. So that would leave my percent then. Well, that's pretty easy because they tell you what the percent is. It's 90%. Let's look at the next problem. It says a bag of candy contains 300 pieces, and 25% of the pieces in the bag are red. Well, this is a little bit more, has more words to it. But let's look. It says 300 pieces. Well, if I look, I'm going to say that 25% of the pieces in the bag are red, so I would say that this 300 is my whole. So therefore, the pieces in the bag, okay, are my part. And then there again, they give you the percentage is 25%. Okay. Let's look at the last one. It says that 20 girls in the class represent 55% of the students in the class. Well, of the students is my part, or my whole. Okay. So that would mean that the 20 girls in the class is my part. Okay. This is my part. And then my percentage is 55%. Okay. So we went beyond, we took a beyond just a little bit. We didn't just talk about the whole. We talked about the whole, the part, and the percent, and looking at 4 different problems. Okay, let's kind of do the same thing again. Well, I'm going to give you some hints. Sometimes the word is talks about the part, and sometimes the word of talks about the whole. In this chart, we're going to fill out the part, the percent, and the whole. Okay, in this first problem, and they're all written a little bit differently. They're all talking about the same thing, however. In this one, it's talking about 40% of the students. Well, 40%, that's pretty easy. Let's go ahead and put that right in our percent box. Okay, that's already a percent. 40% of the students on the field trip love the museum. Okay, if there are 20 students on the field trip, how many love the museum? Well, you got to ask yourself, this 20 students, is that my part or my whole? Well, it says there are 20 students on the field trip. They're telling you that is the whole. So therefore, this is my whole, my 20 students. Okay? So that would mean my part is my unknown. That's what I don't know. Let's look at the next one. 40% of the students, well, there again, that 40% can go right in my box because I know what that is. Of the students on the field trip love the museum. If 20 students love the museum, how many are on the field trip? Okay, well, this 20 students now is talking about that these 20 students love the museum. So that's talking about the part. So now my 20 students is my part and not my whole. And then my unknown then is how many students are on the field trip. That is my unknown or my X. Let's look at this last one. It says 20 students are on the field trip. Love the museum. If there are 40 students on the field trip, what percent of the students love the museum? There again, this is 20 students. This is my part. Okay. because 20 students love the museum. Now, I don't know my percent because that's what it's asking for. The question's asking for what percent. So that would leave 40 students of actually are on the field trip. Okay, yes, I know I have a spelling error in this problem. Sorry, I just didn't get it fixed. All right, let's go on to the next problem. We're going to start with the percent proportion where I said the part over my whole equals my percent over 100. And let's see if we can fill some of this in. It says Jody inflated 24 balloons for the decorations at the middle school dance. If Jody inflated 15% of the balloons that are inflated for the dance, how many balloons are there in total? So, in total, evidently that's my whole. I don't know that. So if I write my proportion, okay, I know this is going to be 100. My whole, I don't know. So my part then would be 24. And my percent here is 15. Okay. Now this is just a proportion I can solve. So remember when we solve proportions where we multiply the diagonals and divide by what's left over. Okay, so I have 24 times 100, which is 2400. That's going to equal 15x. I'm going to then get my x by itself, so I have to divide. So I'm going to divide by 15 on both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to get x equals 160. So there are 160 balloons in total. Jose is making admissions tickets to the school dance. So far, he has made 112 tickets, and his plan is to make 320 tickets. What percent of admission tickets has Jose made so far? Here again, my part over my whole equals my percent over 100. Okay, well 112 is going to be my part. 320 is my whole. Okay, I don't know my percent. And I'm going to put over 100. There again, I multiply. So I have 11,200 equals 320x. Okay. I want to get x by itself, so what I have to do the opposite, which is divide. So I'm going to divide by 320. Divide by 320. And x is going to equal, x is going to equal 35. So my answer is 35% because I'm looking for my percent. Okay. Now, these first two are pretty easy. The last one's going to be just as easy. It's following this pattern on how to set it up. If you can set this up, you can do this without a problem. Let's look at the last problem. Okay, this one is going to be a lot about about reading the problem. So let's start with our formula that we're going to be using, our proportion. Part over a whole equals percent over 100. Okay, and I'm going to kind of set it up. Now it says a bag of candy contains 300 pieces of candy. Okay, so that's my whole, 300. Now this says 28% are red. However, look at the question. It says how many pieces are not red. Okay, well, in order to do this, I have to find out what percent of the bag is not red. Well, if 28% is red, well, 100 minus 28 is 72. Okay? Okay. So, if I subtract that, I should get 72. So I'm going to put 72 up here. I'm going to put x over here. Now, I simply would cross multiply. So 300 times 72 is going to be 21,600 equals 100x. I'm going to divide by 100. Divide by 100. Cancel out my zeros. I have 216 equals x. Well, what is x? It's how many pieces are not red. So 216 pieces are not red. Okay. So I've shown you 3 different examples on how to solve this problem depending on what we're looking for. All right, make sure all those are written down in your notes. And to end today, I just want to remind you that I want you to place your question that you would normally write on your whisk form. I want you to put that on the discussion board. Okay, you'll be able to see everyone else's questions once you put your question on the discussion board. And then don't forget you need to answer the 5 questions that is also there as an attachment. All right, remember it is for a grade. All right, I will see you in class.